Hey, what's up? So, welcome to a comic idea video. I got this idea for this comic and I want to develop it later. But yeah, I just want to put the idea out there. So yeah. Okay, so before all this though, disclaimer, I don't want to appropriate any cultures, and if I do, please tell me because I don't mean to. This might be a riskier concept given I'm not Russian or so. I haven't lived there or anything like that. But take this in the vein of like something like Coco or something. An appreciation for the culture and stuff like that. Even though, I'll tell you later, I'll show later, but I guess you could interpret it as, not shining the brightest light on, you know, you get it, okay? I don't mean to offend anybody though. It's mostly just for aesthetics. And okay, the city is a bit of like an analogy, but I don't mean anything by it. I'm honest. But yeah, okay. Okay, so given this, I want to introduce my new idea for, and I guess, horror slash thriller slash mystery comic for now. Maybe I'll make the story in some other medium, but right now, comics is my most accessible. So yeah, much of the inspiration comes from Stranger Things and Chernobyl, the series, some stalker horrors, and some Metro Exodus in there. But much like it's much like a Stephen King book with the horror concepts and the vibe of Silent Hill. Also add in some heavy inspiration from The Labyrinth by Simon Stalingrad. I probably butchered that, but okay. So yeah, as you can see, here's a shot of the city. You know, very early, probably my first design of a background actually, first background drawing. Ominous cube in there. Yeah, this is before I really focused on anatomy on humans. So yeah. Okay, so that last picture was kind of the only art I really have for this. The only concept design. But I got some other things. This is more concept design for my other comic series I'm making. You know. But yeah, this could bleed into that, especially that like bridge drawing. So yeah. Okay, so I don't have a name yet, but the concept goes that in a fictional mining city in what would be Alaska that was managed to be made by the Soviet Union before its collapse and selling to America to be Alaska, there is almost nothing. Okay, so basically, like yeah, basically in this universe, the Soviet Union did not collapse back in the day, or at least they managed to. They didn't sell. Also, they didn't sell Alaska and stuff like that. Not until later, and they managed to uh build a city in Alaska, kind of in the middle of nowhere really, but yeah, so it's very off the map, off the chart and stuff like that. But yeah, it's America, now it's a the whole place was sold to America and stuff like that, or Canada. I'm still deciding. So yeah, okay, it's an excuse not to have to write things in Russian and stuff like that. But no, there's more, okay. uh so yeah, only the remnants of what could have been. All that's left are giant brutalist buildings. It's cold, empty, and liminal. Place of weight and indecisiveness. Frozen quite literally. I guess, okay, that was. There are many supernatural, but also decently real horrors that occur here. The world has a very Cold War era Soviet look with Soviet tech, which is key to survival. A mysterious city-wide EMP has completely fried all digital tech, and now they rely on analog mostly. Well, that Soviet era tech might be becoming useful now. This takes place in modern day, though, but you couldn't really tell. Now we follow a man named Alex. He has lived here his whole life and doesn't want to move anytime soon. But lately he's manifested a weird connection to the snow, which mind you is everywhere, which gives him a slight edge later on. During this story, we go through other settings too, also mostly covered in snow. Stuff like abandoned Soviet era facilities, a pulsing eldritch forest, and of course the main streets, which have the brutalist architecture with a weird attempt at capitalism, with broken advertisements and neon lights being a weird contrast in changing the blank canvases of the snow. So yeah, the capitalism kind of cuts through this, you know. You know, America really wanted to get their money's worth when they bought this place. So yeah. Okay, so this isn't really related at all, but it's like, you know, it's just a random drawing, I guess. You know, about a cyberpunk, like a cyberpunk looking drawing. You know, like it's one of it's like a guy version of like a Signalis character. I thought the face looked cool, like the cyber faces. But yeah, okay, so I'm gonna get pretentious now. My main theme during the story is that this place is just an excuse, a liminal space. Procrastination if it was a place, you know, or bed rotting if it was a place. I think that's a better analogy. We could relate to that. Okay, you know, like uh, nothing bad happens until now, but it's an incomplete existence, you know. And much of the horror could actually not be horrors, instead being callings on where he wants to go from here, you know. So maybe these curses are actually kind of blessings in disguise. Depends on how you think about it, you know. So through much of the story, he doesn't want to leave and he would much rather solve the mystery and just get rid of the problem, but gradually he realizes that he does need something more. Okay, so my story will kind of be segmented into parts, and I'm gonna try to gradually increase the horror or balance it out, since I plan on including different types, such as simple ones like cryptids and the supernatural, government conspiracy, cosmic horror, digital horrors, simulations, and cults, of course. They're all These are all linked, or not. Don't want to spoil the surprise. Anyways, yeah, that's my idea. This will have horror game-esque elements, you know, survival horror, like resource management, that Soviet tech will be useful to fight, and of course, whatever Alex's ability is. So yeah, it's kind of a mesh of a bunch of ideas, you know. But hey, I'm creating something new, you know. I want to mesh a bunch of my ideas. So yeah, video game elements. I mean, yeah, I guess you could call these elements a little video gamey, but it's not going to be a video game or anything like that. You know, kind of like, you know, those movies that feel like video games, but they aren't, you know. But they kind of feel like an Xbox 360 game. I guess in that sense, that connection. And who knows, maybe I could actually repurpose this character, you know. He looks kind of, I don't know, I thought the jacket looks cool. And yeah, maybe, you know, I can add in some cybernetics. Or no, maybe that make it too sci-fi, but then again, sci-fi horror. So yeah, what do you think? Another drawing. So yeah, yeah, tell me what you think in the comments, you know? Comments. Yeah, here's me drawing hands, you know, or drawing some of these, you know, my favorite attempt. And yeah, that's mostly going to be the video, you know? So yeah, also this is going to be more of a secondary project, I guess. I have Rip Steel more developed. Be sure to check that out. Also, because much of the information I have for this project kind of got deleted, but I mostly remember it. Most of the concepts, most of the core, everything. I just got to redo it. So yeah, and you know, I don't have as much. You know, you only really saw one concept art for really the entire series. You know. So yeah, be sure to let me know what you think about this. You know, if you find it interesting, you know, I guess tell your friends, you know, you're a day one. Yeah, no, that's not going to be a catchphrase, but yeah. Yeah, I guess you'll be yeah, okay. Bye.